What's up, mortgage coach community? Dave Savage. I'm coming live to you out of Baltimore right now, and I'm sitting down with Tim Davis. Tim is a lot of things in the mortgage industry. He's a coach, he's a leader, and he is the founder and entrepreneur behind the Originators Guide. Check it out, guys. Kind of cool. I'm very honored, dude, that you put me on the cover. This is the second time you've done this magazine, isn't it?
Yeah, so we do 4 issues a year, and that's the second edition for 2022. So yeah, there you go. It's going to be a collector's edition. Nice. I need an autograph on it next time I see
you. It really was cool. I remember when you reached out and asked me if I would write an article and be on the cover. I'm like, yeah, sure, but I didn't, until you touch it, and you feel it, you're like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Out of all the things I've ever done in business, when this got delivered to our house, my kids were like, Dad, this is legit. I was like, there's just something about paper, the real world paper.
I mean, I think that's never going to go away, Dave. I think, I heard a podcast about a year and a half ago with a guy named Jay Abraham. You may have heard his name. He's
of course, I know
sort of a business consultant, right? And they were just talking to him about marketing, and he said something. He said, the average lifespan, or shelf life is how you describe it. The average shelf life of a social media post is under 60 seconds. And that just really stuck out to me, right? I mean, there's a lot of, it's hard to get a constant attention on social media because there's so much content going into it at such a rapid pace, right? And so if you post something and it's not seen right away, it may not come back up for a few days unless somebody sees it later, right? And I just think there's still something magical about getting, something in the mail, right? You can sit there on your back porch and read and hold and things like that. So I don't think stuff like that will ever go away, but a lot of people aren't really doing stuff like that. So it's a great way to stand out.
Well, it's great to see you come out with something cool like this and a gift to our industry. I mean, one of the things early on in my career that, that really made a difference was the late and great Chris Salzar and the Mortgage Originator magazine. I don't know. Yeah. Are you familiar with that magazine? Did you ever get it?
Yeah, it's caused potential of a possible divorce in my house many a times when I found them being drug out to the trash collector, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like those were my Bible of how I got started. I'm like, "Bring those back in." So I've got stacks of them, Dave. It's great stuff.
Yeah, I had articles in that many a times. I learned a lot from that. It was a really important media source when I launched Mortgage Coach. I didn't have the YouTube channel. We hadn't created our own media platform, but it was one of the most valuable when you think what made this is that magazine was a big part of it. So hey, let's get to the topic at hand. Whenever I interview someone, I'm like, hey, what should we center this conversation around? And you said, center it around clarity is in times. So why did you pick that title, and what are things that you think people need about this market?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. The reason I picked that title is I think clarity is one of those things when we can get a hold of it, we can get focused and really move towards our objectives, our goals, our ambitions, our dreams, all those type of things. And we live in a very distracted world. We just sort of covered that, real quickly. And as I'm talking to originators all across the country or at an event or whatever the case might be, I find that having clarity is something that they don't have, right? And so how do we go back out there and gain some clarity for them? I think you're coming back in right now. But hold up.
It's recording.
Okay, is this a recording?
If
okay.
That happens again. Just recording in the cloud, and I'm going to make you a co-host. So let's hope we don't have another form.
Okay.
On roll.
Okay, gotcha. So I'll just give you an example. I had a call recently with a loan officer that reached out, and I do these free coaching calls for the industry, just a way to give back. And this person reached out, and they were telling me all their challenges that were going on, rates and inventory and so on and so forth. And I said, well, hold on a second. Let's just start with something very basic. What's your goal for the year? Right. And so we talked about, well, I want to do X number of loans, X volume for the year. I said, okay, well, let's just start there. And you're looking at this global picture and you're overwhelmed with this global picture. And what if we just started with your annual volume And then we said, how much is your average loan size? And then we gave you 2 weeks vacation, and we divided that by 50 weeks. And then we learned how many loans you need to lock per week. And when we did the math on that, it came out she needed to lock 2 loans a week. And she goes, oh my gosh, that gives me so much clarity. Yeah. And I've been doing this with a lot of loan officers across the country, and the comments always the same. Like, wow, I didn't think about it. 2 is a very small number. Yeah, it is. You've been focused on headlines and various things like that, and you're getting overwhelmed by that. But if we break it down to how many loans do you need to lock per week, let me ask you one other question. I said, how many credit pools would you need in order to get that many locks? Do you know? And she didn't, right? A lot of people don't really know their numbers. And I said, well, the national average is a 31% pull through rate. Okay. So yours may be higher, it may be lower, but nationally it's 31%. So if you would agree with me that we can just use 31% and you would start tracking it, let's start there. She said, yeah, that's great. So we just took 2 and divided by 31. I think the number was like 8 or 7 credit reports, 6 and some change. So we rounded up to 7 credit report pulls per week. It's essentially like 1 a day, and she was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it like this. And I said, yeah, you've just gotten off track, and you're diving into rabbit holes, and it's causing worry and anxiety and all these things that are keeping you from action. But if we can get you something very simple to focus on, I said, go get a tattoo, 7 credit pulls, 2 locks, put that on your arm, and whatever it takes, right? Just think about those 2 things. And, Renee Rodriguez talks about the reticular activation and how when you start thinking about a red car, that you see every red car in your town, So I'm like, if you just start thinking about 7 credit pulls and 2 locks for your situation, you can come up with 5 to 7 activities that that you want to do that can get you to that. And that's what I mean by that.
So tell me your thoughts on this, because one of my biggest takeaways from the recent 2022 halftime report that I wrote, anyone listen to this, I'll put a link down below. It's the hardest I've ever worked on a piece of research or a piece of content in my entire career. I interviewed 25 leaders, some CEOs, some top producers, including Shant Madoshi, #1 producer in the country. But one of my biggest takeaways was we need to evolve what we measure. And as an industry, we measure how many loans we close. We celebrate it. Everybody's got a leaderboard. We do parties around big trips around celebrating who closed the most loans, who's the volume leader, who did the most units. I'm proposing, and one of my recommendations is we need to start reporting on conversion. And the way to do that is credit reports versus fundings. And so literally having that scorecarded for every loan officer in a company. So I do agree that's loan officers should do that individually. Todd Bookspan and the CEO of Win by Noon, that's his whole mantra is, measure what matters most, win by noon. But what are your thoughts about companies putting scorecards around conversion and making it transparent so everybody knows who's converting the most, credit reports versus fundings, and we're celebrating who's got the highest conversion in the company, who's got the highest conversion in the branch. What are your thoughts? Would that help loan officers focus on the things that matter most?
Yeah, listen, I think that it would, right? Because I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine, and we were just talking about social media, and he goes, I'm getting some traction on a few things. I said, that's fantastic. It gives you a lot of exposure. But when's the last time you took that social media post down to the bank and deposited it? He's like, yeah, I can't do that. So you're right. We measure what matters most, and it is that conversion, right? To that point, a lot of people don't know that. And you know what I found, and I don't know what your research showed on that, Dave, but I found that a lot of companies don't really have the data in a way that people know what's really going on. That conversion is a big number on that. So they would need to put that data together. Like, if this loan officer I was talking to is converting at the national average of 31%, maybe there's something in scripting. Maybe there's something like your product that she needs, mortgage coach, sales boomerang, right? Maybe there's something with the relationship building she needs to do a better part of that. Maybe she needs to, increase her network of what type of loans that she's possibly getting. But if you don't know your conversion, I think you're dead on the money. I think that's the #1 number.
Yeah, and well, the 2 numbers that in the report, we actually had 3. It was conversion. Let's start scorecarding conversion. And I just gave the formula. Let's start scorecarding profitability. Mm-hmm. Most companies can look at profitability per loan officer and know how many basis points they're costing in price exceptions. and let's start scorecarding satisfaction, client satisfaction.
Right.
And so, and then know, okay, we know who the top producers are because we do a great job of scorecarding that. But let's start celebrating, hey, who's got the best conversion with the best production? How are you getting such great conversion?
Yeah.
Who is the most profitable with the most production, best conversion? What are you doing to get that so that we're not just focusing on production, we're focusing on the metrics that drive production.
I love it. I love it because I think it also expands it to other people that might not be the best producer, but they might have the best conversion and they can really add value to other people, but they may not get recognized, right? Because they got a great conversion. They're just maybe not $100 million producer. I agree with you. I think we've celebrated people that are at the top of the chain in terms of production, and that's important. But what about that person that takes, what about that person that works with 10 credits a month and converts 8 of them? There's something to be learned from that person.
It would, and it would also just be enlightening because I'll guarantee in the top 10 production, some of those top 10 producers are killing it with conversion and are killing it with profitability. And now we can really kind of nail down who's got the cleanest system and processes, and then we can scale those in our branch, in our region. Cool. So what else comes to mind when you think of tactics to gain clarity and focus? What are some other Tim Davis tactics and strategies?
So, I spent 7 years building out a coaching software, right? And the way that it worked was like a 90-day burst, if you will, right? Let's just take this thing divided into 4 quarters. Let's find out, what your credit pools need to be per week, what your loan locks would be out of that based on conversion. Then we can work on that conversion number, right? And try to improve that. And then let's come up with 5, no more than 7 strategies that you want to execute. Not that your manager told you to execute, but that you want to execute, right? Some people just want to dial all day and they're gifted at it. That's not me. I want to be in front of a room, speaking, doing events. I get better conversion in that role. So you have to know your personality and really accentuate what your giftings are and come up with like 5 to 7 activities that will help you get there, right? So you co-collaborate that with a coach or a mentor or an accountability partner, right? And you co-collaborate this. So we built this software out, and you're building out these activities in the software. And then on Sunday night, it would email you your checklist, right? But here's the real key to it, Dave. It shows you some numeric values before you get your checklist. So when you get that email, it'll say, hey, Dave, your volume goal this year has you earning $275 an hour. That's your hourly rate of pay. Keep that in mind, right? And then your activities are worth X number of dollars. Like every time you attempt a phone call, it's $29. Every time you actually have a conversation, you're earning $175. And every time you have a meeting, you're earning X dollars. And every time you do an event, you're earning X dollars. So now we've got real metrics and real numbers that correspond with the activities. And you're getting this email, and then on Friday, you're getting a text reminder saying, hey, why don't you grade yourself for the week? See what worked, right? You're in a game, and so you might have to make some in-game adjustments. Maybe you wanted to go to 2 networking events. You found that was too much. So you're going to adjust your strategy to 1 networking event as an example. So now you're really looking at it, and you've got clarity, you've got focus. And that's so important in any market, but really in challenging times, clarity and focus is super important. And so I spent 7 years building that out. And really, what I saw was a 42% growth in production from the people that got in that lane and said, you know what, I'm going to focus on what matters to me and build this out for me, customized. And then I'm going to get guardrails around the week with an email and a text message. And that's going to help me keep in my lane, right? Through all the distractions and all the noise and all the news and all that kind of stuff. So that's been my plan. That's worked, and it's really helped out a lot of people that have subscribed to that. And I think it's really important right now.
I actually did not know you had that. Is that something people could sign up for now? Like, where do they go to learn more about that?
Yeah, well, we have a private coaching group, and we've got the magazine website, the originatorsguide.com.
Guide.com, y'all.
Yeah, okay. So they can go over to the originatorsguide.com. They can get the daily podcast tip. We do a podcast 3 minutes or less every day. That's a freebie. And they could, purchase a subscription to the magazine on the website if they want to get the physical copy mailed to them. And then if they want.
What's the cost?
Oh yeah, for the magazine, $99 a year for the subscription. You get the 4 issues mailed directly to your house or your address that you put in. So try to keep that affordable for people. And then we have our coaching group. It's $297 a month, and they can get access to that software and the Monday morning call where we go through, the big strategy for the month and then cover the basics and the fundamentals.
So guys, let me read off the table of contents to the magazine that I'm in.
Yep.
The BLT process to video marketing. So you get some ideas for video marketing.
Yep.
How to start a podcast and grow your business. Awesome idea. 5 commitments for the new mortgage normal. Coach's Corner, the 6 keys to business growth. Be the captain of the wealth team. My article. Check it.
It's great.
A great start guide to creating consumer direct video marketing. The prospecting strategy for business craves. Stacy Duncan's story from broken family to breakout loan officer. And then I like this last chapter, the why of money. So guys, I'm a fan, go check it out, get it. So before we wrap up, I know you got to jump on another meeting here in a minute, but if there was one book you've read that's created the most value for you, what's a book that really has impacted your life personally and or professionally?
There's so many, Dave. So I'm going to give one that I think is important.
There's one.
Yeah. I'm going to give one that I think is important for right now. Okay. Even though there's many that have impacted different ways. For right now, this very moment in time, I still like Sell It Like Sirhan by Ryan Sirhan out of New York. I think it's very fundamental and practical about building a network and getting yourself out there in very strategic ways. And I think right now it's a great book for people to revisit if they have never read it.
I recently, not recently, it's been about a year now, but I listened to his newest book, Big Money Energy, and I was really impressed. I have not read Sell It Like Sirhan, but have you read Big Money Energy? Are you familiar with
Nope, but I'll tell you now that you mentioned it, Amazon's getting ordered today.
and I did. I have a new loan officer playbook on our mortgage coach blog, and I think I have about a dozen books listed. I'm going to add a few more, but Sell It Like Sirhan made the cut for new loan officers. Well, not Sell It, Big Money Energy. But let me know after you check out Big Money Energy, which one, if there was just one Ryan Sirhan book, which one would you recommend? I'd love to know what you think.
Yeah, I'm going to go order it on Amazon today. I'll let you know.
Cool. Any closing thoughts for the community?
Hey, listen, you know what? Get up there, serve your community right now. Be a giver. And something I learned from the 08, 09 era, a big lesson, focus on effort and less on results, right? Just get up every day, be a giver, focus on your activities every day. Don't get hung up in the results right away. They're going to come if you're consistent with your activities. And right now, just get out there and serve and give and be that educator and advocate for your agents, your borrowers, and your community.
Yeah, my closing thought, everyone, measure what matters. It's not going to be you're not going to break any records on the number of loans you close in this market, but you can improve your conversion. You can improve your profitability per loan, and think of your profitability per loan as your sales score. Like you should be comparing yourself to the most successful people in your company or that. And if you have like the lowest price exceptions, well, then you have a great sales score. You're delivering value. You're doing more than just doing mortgage transactions. So I hope you got value. Give this a like. If you did get value, share it with your mortgage friends, mortgage leaders. Tim Davis, you're the man.
Boom, you're the man. I'm going to call you on some other opportunities real soon for you guys, okay?
All right, take care, y'all. Hope you got value.